Gamescom is a little over 2 weeks away and we are already getting actual gameplay footage from Capcom's most ambitious title, Monster Hunter Wilds, with not one, not two, but 3 short videos in a single day, including a weapon showcase, with the remaining 13 already confirmed to be periodically posted every day until the previously mentioned event. Soon, my beloved, we will meet again soon. First and foremost, I have to say this one more time. This looks absolutely gorgeous, it truly does. Sure, everyone was expecting a big boost in graphics in comparison to previous games, especially Rise, but god damn this looks nice. You can clearly see that Wilds is being developed in RE Engine, the same engine Dragon's Dogma 2 used, but not only it looks sharper, the overall environmental aesthetics is much better. The level of detail in the distance, the higher color saturation, the lighting in general, it's just fantastic. Granted, I will need to buy a new PC just so I don't have to play it in PowerPoint form, but it will for sure be worth it cause Wilds is turning out to be a beautiful game. Another thing Monster Hunter also does exceptionally well, and here we can see that it's still the case, is their animations. Both movement and combat in this franchise always felt amazing. Walking and running never felt floaty or janky. You never had that feeling of sliding on ice or anything. Movement was always precise, responsive, grounded, and that only got better over time. And combat? Oh boy, that's on a whole new level. The animations and hitboxes were so incredibly well crafted that together it culminates into an experience that can't be found anywhere else. To me, Monster Hunter has the absolute best melee combat in the gaming industry. Period. That title is uncontested and I will die on that hill any day of the week. Each swing and strike has impact. It's methodical, mentally stimulating and easy to read. The huge array of weaponry provides players with all kinds of playstyles, from light and fast, slow and heavy, and everything in between. And their super stylistic movement is nothing short of spectacular. Fighting in this series feels fluid but firm. Hitting a monster at the right time in the right spot is the most satisfying feeling you could ever have in a game. Dark Souls and Elden Ring are close, very close, but this? Nothing beats this. On top of that though, one thing that contributes massively to that, and can be clearly seen in this brand new footage, is the transitions between animations. The way we mount our sacred mid-combat, the way our mounts jump from one place to another, the way we sync 2 different models together during power clashes, the transitions are executed so smoothly that are barely noticeable. And make no mistake, these small details may be small and subtle, but their presence makes a huge difference. They enhance the actions we perform. They make the game look and feel a lot more seamless, not only boosting gameplay responsiveness and visual feedback, but also immersion, which, as we all know, is a big selling point for Wilds. It's the same concept we apply to UI. Good UI is the one we don't notice. And here, that game component is done masterfully. I am incredibly excited for the next Monster Hunter entry, I truly am. But as you already saw in the title, this video will be more about the less positive aspects I got from this new footage. Nothing major, keep that in mind, but some things that I believe are worth pointing out as early as possible. After all, despite our huge hype for Wilds, it's always best to keep our expectations as realistic as we can, so looking for potential issues or just things that we might dislike is a good exercise for that exact purpose. The first one I would like to point out is the ability to sharpen our weapon while mounted. This is a feature taken straight out of Rise, where Palamutes, the mounts in that game, let hunters sharpen their equipment at will while riding them. Even though that was a pretty minor piece of the game, let's be honest, most people weren't that big fans of it. Monster Hunter was always about slow, impactful, and methodical combat where mistakes and mishaps were heavily punished, and every action had to be planned ahead and timed correctly, including non-combat related actions like drinking potions and, once again, sharpening. World added the functionality of allowing players to cancel said actions midway through, among other things, but Rise took that even further by just letting us do all of that on top of the mount, safe from the monster's attacks. The removal of those little details took away a portion of the skill expression present in the franchise, that, even though at a first glance may not seem like a big deal, it does affect gameplay on a deeper level. The majority of the community didn't like that, and seeing it come back in a game that is evidently trying to replicate world spacing is a bit of a letdown. Though, in Wilds we also need to consider that it can be not as bad as before, since here we will have to deal with an entire ecosystem with dozens of large monsters, some hunting in packs of 4 or more, don't forget, so sharpening while mounting may not impact combat as much on this one due to the sheer increase in danger the map presents to us on a regular basis, with so many bosses roaming around everywhere. The second aspect I find problematic, and this one I really want to emphasize here, is Wild's tracking. In past footage we saw a hint of scout flies being present in the game, but only this week we got actual confirmation of such. And they work almost identically to how they did in World, except they not only guide us directly to the target itself is permanently marked right from the beginning of the quest. Now, there's a caveat to this. First of all, we don't know if the system is like this by default, or if we need to progress to a specific point to get this functionality. That is not disclosed, so at the moment we can't know for sure. But if this is how monster tracking is right off the bat, it's not good. And let me explain you why. There's an argument to be made when people say that this feature makes Monster Hunter more accessible to newcomers. That is true. Wilds is for the most part open world, so directly guiding people to their target does help them not getting lost from the very beginning. But here's the thing. The game is advertised front and center as the most immersive Monster Hunter title to date and prides itself for simulating the best hunting experience we ever got. Wilds focuses on those aspects a lot, and all the videos and articles we have access until now prove that. Which only makes this tracking system even more out of place. If this is supposed to be a more detailed hunting experience than previous titles, tracking should be more detailed, more complex, interactable, and more in-depth. But what we have here is the polar opposite. This doesn't contribute to a better hunt simulation, in fact, it takes out a big portion of it. In real life, the act of hunting is divided into 3 parts: seeking, pursuing, and capturing/killing. To be considered a hunt, these 3 parameters must be present, no exceptions. And in every single Monster Hunter game, except Rise, all 3 were there in some way, shape, or form. Sure, searching for a monster was incredibly basic until World, and pursuing is barely a thing, but they existed. Even if poorly done, they existed. Rise is the only one that fails in this, since seeking is no longer present due to the monsters being marked on the map 24/7. And seeing Wilds, of all things, follow its predecessor mistake when it was supposed to be the game with the highest emphasis on hunting is so strange and counterintuitive that there is no way we aren't missing crucial information in this department. World having a better tracking system than Wilds, when the former had so much less area to cover map-wise? That would be incredibly disappointing, especially considering that one of this game's best selling point is having a more in-depth hunting experience. I am in no way saying that this is definitive, since we don't know 100% how the system works in its entirety, but man, I really hope what they showed here is a maxed out version of World Scout Fly mechanic. Fortunately, even if this ends up being true, that being Wild's biggest issue is a huge positive in my opinion. Both games of the 5th generation had massive problems, like horrible weapon design, balance issues, armor skill bloat, hunts being too easy. If all of that is fixed, then I personally could handle the lack of tracking. what I just mentioned were much bigger and serious flaws. So if those are solved, having the monsters permanently marked is not all that bad. It doesn't make the issue go away, but it lessens its significance. At least to me. Overall, the game looks great, it sounds great, and I'm sure that it will feel great once we get our hands on it. Hopefully before summer next year. And that's all for today. Stay tuned for August 21st when we will receive Monster Hunter Wild news, and you bet I will be here covering it. A huge thank you to my Patreon supporters for supporting the channel and the content I create. If you wanna join the ranks, you can do so for only $1 a month. The link will be in the description. Don't forget to leave your thoughts and opinions down below, join our Discord server, engage with the community, and I hope to see you all next time.